Recently I learned to speedrun one of the most difficult speedruns I have ever run. Hello, I am Minoan, a Souls runner who has speedrun the 80% categories for Dark Souls 1 and 3, but not 2. To complete the trilogy, I had to pick between two runs for Scholar of the First Sin. The first, more common one is the 80% restricted category that takes around an hour with the world record held by Nick Style. The less common category, 80% unrestricted, which only had 8 completed runs on speedrun.com when I started, is the category that I picked. The major differences between these two runs is the ability to toggle FPS and performing a glitch called parry walking. These two things cut down the time by over half to around a 23-minute run optimally. Getting a run that fast in this category is not something that is easy, so I set a more grounded goal for myself. I wanted to have a completed run that was faster than the restricted world record of 52 minutes, as well as I wanted to be the first 10 runners to conquer the unrestricted officially. I had my work cut out for me, but first I had to learn the run. I spent 4 days doing a walkthrough of the Rapier 17k route. What I would do in this walkthrough was take a chunk of the run and try to learn that small chunk one step at a time. I would also be using a practice tool called Save Organizer that helps to make saves and organize them for practicing skips and glitches. We start in the Fiends Betwixt, get to the Old Hags, and enter character creation. This character creation actually eats away time unlike the other Souls games, so one letter names will do. We then skip another cutscene to pick Explorer and Bonfire aesthetic. Past this cart, we pick up a soul and torch before continuing on to Majula. In Majula, we drop down and pick up the Binocs before talking to the Emerald Herald. Talking to her is done to advance her dialogue to save time when we go to level up later in the run. We light the Majula bonfire and make our way to the Forest of Fallen Giants. While we wait for the door animation to finish up, we do some menuing, use this soul, and drop the dagger. Once through, we drop down, picking up this homeward bone and another soul. We continue on, avoiding enemies and picking up the buckler shield. We head up the ladder, trying not to die, and purchase one firebomb from the merchant. My first challenge would come in the form of the infamous 17k glitch. 17k is a frame-perfect glitch that will kill the pursuer to give us the exact amount of souls we need for a pretty skirt. I don't really know what causes the pursuer to die, but is performed by first breaking the wall with a firebomb, jumping on this ledge, and then jumping over this gap where the ladder is to trigger the pursuer. We will then fall off the ledge and once again fall off onto this wooden bridge where the dark sign will be used. Once done loading in, you'll notice that I will still have the souls from the pursuer, but the dark sign is supposed to delete these souls. Something interesting happens here. As we warp before we receive the souls, they are still queued up and will be given after teleporting. This took me around an hour to get my first 17k, and I thought this was going to be the hardest part of the run. I was extremely wrong. With these souls we earned legitimately, we head back to Majula where we will pop the pursuer's soul and buy 10 kite shields from Magulin. This will spend 15,000 souls, meeting the first requirement we need for the skirt. We will then bone away and burn a bonfire aesthetic, our starting gift, to raise the Majula to New Game Plus. This is the second and last requirement for the Moonlight Butterfly skirt, where we will just have enough to purchase it. The skirt is used in the parry walk glitch, which is done 5 times throughout the run. To perform the parry walk, we need a parry tool and a skirt. The skirt allows us to jump from a standstill. We will parry the enemy, walk into them, walk back to the right, and then repost and jump in the same frame. When done right, we will be floating in the air for 28 seconds. We use this parry walk to go light the Giant Lord's bonfire to be used for later. Then we drop down to pick up this fragment branch of yore to be used here in a second before we warp away. The next parry walk is immediately after it in the shaded woods. This one switches things up a little bit, as there are doors that can only be opened with the King's Ring, but it is a whole process to get, so we will just hop the wall instead. After performing the parry walk, we head to the left and run against the geometry of the wall, trying to get up to the top. Once up in position, I toggle the FPS down to 30, which slingshot's me over the wall into Aldea's Keep. We make our way through the keep with a torch in hand, perform a jump to skip having to use the branch of yore. We light this brazier with the torch, which will spawn an invader, and we will run past him towards a door. There's an ogre on the other side that will smash through, which is easily avoided. We will destroy a table and a chair to help the invader in his pathing. We open this door, this time not trapped. The last door is trapped because Dark Souls 2 hates the player. This one avoided much in the same way the first ogre is. Once through to the bridge before the dragon fight, we wait for the invader to get onto the bridge so we can parry walk onto him. Parry walking this guy is something I struggle with honestly, and it's a skill issue. We skip the dragon fight and get head into the dragon area after a long elevator ride where we menu. We grab the first bonfire before heading up the ladder next to it. We zip line across, dropping off of this island to pick up the soul before warping back to the bonfire and taking the exact same zip again. We run through the control V area trying to get to the dragon for the ash and mist heart before warping out to the merchant to buy a key and a bright bug after popping one of the souls. We then head to Majula and open the door for the blacksmith, roll away from it, and reset at the bonfire. Heading back to the blacksmith, we pop the last soul while we're talking to him. We buy the rapier, 6 titanite shards, and upgrade the rapier to +3. We then speak to the herald to level up our dex to 12, meeting the stat requirement for the rapier. We head out with the required items for the giant lord fight. This fight is normal, but it is not fun. The optimal strat is to get your HP low and have the attack boost of the red tier stone ring. Only issue is getting hit once is death, and the giant lord's attacks are very hard to see while fighting due to the camera angle. After a couple of attempts, I kill him to move on to the 4th parry walk. In the shaded woods, we approach the enemies that show what happens when you don't pay your animators. We will run into this hill, boosting ourselves over, and run towards the Dranlea castle. Here we pick up these 2 holy water urns, and at the castle entrance, we will parry walk this little guy with a big sword. Once done, we run to get out of bounds under the castle. We are trying to get to the other side of the door that leads to the final boss. It needs to be done right, as if we fall, we will take damage and die if we do not land in the right spot. Once in the final stretch, we run all the way to the boss and equip some armor. We equip the explorer helm, gloves, and imported tunic. We equip the kite shield to block physical damage, and we then make sure the water urns are equipped as well. The final boss is a free boss fight, with the first one being a duo fight of Watcher and Defender. Once we enter the fog gate, I try to run along the ground to bait out an attack from the defender and then run towards this corner. When done right, Watcher will do a multi-slash attack, in which the first attack is blocked, but the second one strafed to make her hopefully fall off. This gives a quick kill to Watcher, and also will narrow down the fight to a 1v1. Defender can easily be strafed with some multi-attacks that need to be looked out for. After his HP gets down to around half, he will drop his shield, although that seems to be a little random at times. Once the defender is dead, the real challenge of the run appears. We run over to this section of blocks and line up along this line. We zoom in with the binocs and aim up towards this part of the wall, lining up with the U and water urn. After unzooming, we wait for the soul box dialog to disappear and for a 1 urn. While throwing that urn, we'll hold forward, roll, and then throw the last urn. If done right, Nash should be AI broken and we can easily just stab away to victory. When learning this run, I spent around 2.5 hours trying to get this glitch and could not. Nash AI break was easily the hardest part of the run for me, no question. I needed some practice all throughout the run, so I jotted down what I needed to improve on and decided to do 100 of each one of these little things I jotted down. Starting with 17k, I thought it was going to be a rough one to learn. I was failing at throwing the firebomb and was not getting the glitch, but after around 100 attempts, I had learned the glitch and was actually fairly consistent with it. Next up is the parry walk, but I only focused on one of them. I focused on the second one with audio skip. I was struggling with the parry walk, and I still do at times. Eventually, I started to see what I was doing wrong in regards to jumping too early. I can typically get a parry walk in 1 to 4 tries now. The second half was the skip itself. I don't understand how it works, but I understand when I need to run and when to let off. Positioning of the body was also important, and I got fairly decent at performing the skip. I could say the same about the next thing I practiced, but it was not fun to get there. Giant Lord is a pain of a boss fight. I started learning him with the red tier stone ring, but I quickly stopped. It can be hard to see what move the Giant Lord is doing, and being one shot for this mistake is not a great time. I got to the point where I could easily kill the Giant Lord without RTSR. Given some time, I feel like I could implement RTSR later on in this fight when I'm more confident. However, I could not say I improved after this next glitch. Nash was an absolute thorn in my side that prevented me from entering this run. The last and hardest part of this run was Nash. I gave up recording on my 50th attempt, but not trying to get it. I spent hours trying to get this glitch, but was only able to get it once. For the first time this run, I had to ask for help from the Speed Souls community, and I got immense help from a runner, Nick Style. He answered my questions and provided me with the proper lineups for this glitch, so I went to practice. I spent hours trying to get the Nash glitch and was just unsuccessful. I did the only thing I could think of and took a runner's POV of the glitch and my own to compare. I found that I was not throwing the urn fast enough and my reaction time was not fast. So I took a book out of Hans Niemann and I used 120 BPM metronome to tell me when to throw the urn. I was now able to do the glitch, but there is still the duel before it, and if I fail that fight, it's honestly a skill issue. I can't blame anyone but myself on that one. The only way to improve a skill issue is to practice. So I went to practice difficult areas throughout the run, yet again. After a couple of days, I was not happy where I was, and I realized the only steps I can take forward is to actually start running the game. I started speedrunning with no resets unless absolutely necessary, and I was improving. There were many failures, but everything I worked for cultivated into this run. The run was off to a good start as I managed to get a gold split 17k. First parry walk followed suit, being another gold split. The second parry walk I struggled with. I was able to get the parry but failed to perform the audio skip. I quit out and tried again, this time struggling with the parry walk. Once I get it, I have trouble with audio skip still, but eventually fly over on my second try. The next big time loss I had came in the form of the third parry walk. My first attempt, I died. My second attempt, I could not get the parry walk and also died. The third attempt, I died again, but I finally managed to get it on my fourth attempt. In the Dragon Spire, I managed to not die to the Horde and get the Ashen Mist Heart, so onto the Giant Lord. I had a clean Giant Lord fight, only getting hit once at the end. I leveled up for some safety and went on to attempt the fourth parry walk. I managed to get the parry walk on the second attempt. Hopefully I will not have to do that again. The last parry walk of the run, I got my first try. I run outside the map and fall down to the final stretch. I also fall down into the abyss and die.
Man, I'm gonna break my monitor, I swear!
So I had to do the two parry walks yet again. The first parry walk I got first try. The next one I struggled with for quite a bit, but eventually I did get it. I fall down, this time taking my time to menu and not falling off the side. The duo boss fight, the worst thing happened. I died. So I had to do the two parry walks again. I struggled with them, but eventually I get back to the duo without dying. This time I got Throne Watcher Cheese, with Throne Defender following her shortly after. It all comes down to the final glitch of the run. I set up the glitch and throw the urns, and Nash's AI gets broken and the run is complete. I stab her repeatedly and finish the game. I set out to get a sub 53-minute run, but I struggled heavily in this run. My final time was 43 minutes and 1 second. I did what I set out to do. I also became the 10th official runner of this category. It was close as there was a new world record holder that came out of nowhere while I was learning this run. If you stuck around this far, be sure to subscribe for more in the future. Thank you for watching.